Welcome to Squad Goes to Westeros, our weekly Game of Thrones recap show. I'm Taylor, here with
AJ.
And we're going to be diving into Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1, titled Winterfell. Just a fair warning, this is going to be a very spoiler-heavy show. So, if you have not seen the episode, you have been warned. So,
I'm in.
You're in. What did you want to start off with here? There was a lot of things going on in this first episode, a lot of reunions.
Yeah, I think the first thing I liked was the beginning of the episode, how it mirrored the first episode, and I feel like that's going to happen a lot because I think they're going to try to mirror as much from the first season since it's the last, but like you had the little kid running to see the army coming in and like all the fanfare just like Arya did, and they did a big close-up of Arya to help like hammer that home.
Her little smirk at the end there. And then you get the first little hint that they're going to be seeing some important characters they haven't seen in a long time because she sees Jon and she kind of can't hide that smirk and kind of kicks off everything. Jon.
Yeah, I think it's the only time, it's literally the only time that 90% of the people have been in one spot. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of people meeting for the first time and a lot of people who haven't seen each other since season 1, season 2, season 3. Like, they've been gone for seasons, and there's been, like, I feel like this episode was just reunions. Yeah. Like, hey, we haven't seen each other for a while. Let's have a nice scene.
And I'm all right with that. I feel like, I know everyone thinks Game of Thrones, someone important has to die, but I almost enjoyed seeing, it's been 10 years since Jon's seen Arya or Bran. And even Jon kind of like, he sees Bran, he starts to kind of cry a little bit, breaks down. He's like, "You're a man." And then we get creepy Bran. And
he's Bran's
almost
weird.
Yeah.
Like last season when Bran saw Sansa for the first time and he's like, "I was with you on your wedding night. I know what happened." And it was like, okay, that was...
Yeah, like he has no social cues. He's grown up in the woods with the wildlings. He doesn't know how to react around people. And then it basically just went straight into that. We finally get the Jon and Arya reunion, which is everything you hope for. Where
I like that he was like, "You still have the sword I gave you back from episode 1."
Yeah.
And then what else? He was like, "I like the have you used it?" And she's like, "Oh, well,
yeah, maybe, And it gets that good feeling, You've been waiting 8 seasons for this to happen, and they wasted no time.
It was definitely the calm before the storm. It was like everything's happy. Like if you didn't know what was coming, you would be like, "Wow, this is a nice happy show." This is like, everyone's having fun. Everyone's like, seeing each other. They're joking around, and it's like, to an extent that I feel like maybe they should have shown a little bit more of, hey, something's coming.
Yeah.
Like, which they did later, but we'll get to it.
But yeah, it's not all paradise in Winterfell because we get Sansa meets Daenerys for the first time. And there's a little bit of a kickback. Nobody likes that Jon bent the knee.
Yeah.
We had a little, what's her name from the Bear Island girl?
Lady Mormont?
Yeah, Lady Mormont. She
and she was Jon Snow's hype man.
Yeah.
This whole series, she's been, that little 8-year-old girl has been hyping him up, giving motivational speeches. Everyone's been going like, yeah.
She got...
And when she's against him now, it was like... Oh,
yeah, she did so much to have him named king, and then she's like, "Hey, we named you king, now you came back, I don't even know what you are."
Yeah. It's like, what are you? Because you're not a full-blood Stark. You're not king anymore. You left for like 3 days. He literally said, "Hey, I'm going to go meet this Daenerys." And then he came back and he's like, "Yeah, she's queen.
Yeah, she's queen.
She can be doing it.
I'm nothing anymore." And that they're all setting up. They're pulling everyone into Winterfell. And they sent little Lord Umber, who's like an 8-year-old kid, to go get his men. He has no idea how to act in front of everybody. He kind of like goes, he's like, "Oh, my lady, my lord, my queen." Like,
I like that scene.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to get the army.
Yeah.
He had a big army that was coming in, and then we see him a little bit later the aftermath of the wildlings and the night watch after the wall came down, which I guess we can talk about that scene real quick. But it was like, you have everyone who survived that wall collapsing meeting in this one castle, and they kind of meet up. Hey, we all survived. And then you just see Lord Umber, who's supposed to get this army, pinned to a wall.
Nailed to a wall.
And I would say it's not, I've never been scared in Game of Thrones. Like, it's not a scary show. I was legitimately terrified, and I jumped out of my seat. Because I was like, his eyes are blue. Like, that's a nice little touch. I don't remember...
Yeah.
I don't remember, like, when they pin people up and, like, make their bodies' designs, their eyes are blue. And
it's been 2 years. You're slow to catch up. You're like, oh, eyes blue, White Walker.
And then he, like, starts stabbing from the wall. I flipped out.
Let's be honest. The only reason you were scared was because they finally introduced Tormund. He survived the wall.
Yeah, I guess that's confirmation.
Everyone's the fan favorite, and it was him in danger. You're like, oh no, this little piece of shit is gonna kill everyone's favorite wildling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that scene was good. I feel like that was the only tease of like, hey, there's like an army of dead zombies marching our way here. Like, we need to kind of focus on that.
Yeah, like this episode, it was more of, we had all the reunions, the feel-good stuff in Winterfell, and we have a little bit of a love story going on there as well. And then the other side is back at King's Landing. It's the conniving Cersei. Like, this episode, you almost forget about the Night King and all this, because you're like, oh, Cersei's hatching a plan, can't be trusted, she's up to no good.
Yeah, she contacted Bronn to kill Jaime and Tyrion, which was the first time she's ever made a move against Jaime.
Which this is like, she's always been protect the family, family above everything. And now she's just finally like, no.
Yeah. She's like, he left. So
you're a traitor. You're not part of it anymore. She's so far into like only worrying about herself. She doesn't care about the army of the dead. Mm-hmm. And that you can kind of see when the Grand Maester tells her that the army of the dead broke through. He's like, terrible news. The army of the dead broke through the wall. And she goes, good.
Yeah, and like that should be the warning sign of like...
The shock on his face. Even he's like, maybe she's too far gone.
I think he's starting to realize. I think like before it was always just this threat in the background looming, like, hey, everyone who's kind of bringing it up is like a fanatic who's like, they're freaking out about nothing. But it's like, now the wall came down. That was always your one...
Yeah, like, oh, they're not they're on the other side of the wall. They're not a worry right now with their...
If they're even real.
Like, it might be real.
But I wanted to bring up Euron and Cersei, because I have a little theory.
Okay. Yep.
I don't want to speculate ahead of time, but...
The Iron Fleet has returned to King's Landing. If you don't remember, last season, they kind of staged the Euron runs away because he's scared of the Walker. I'm bringing the Iron Fleet because they can't swim. Instead, what he was doing was sailing across the sea to get a sellsword army, because Cersei is a conniving little bitch, basically.
Well, Cersei and Euron have sex.
They do. He's been telling everybody, I'm going to fuck the queen, I'm going to fuck the queen. And you're like, she's got at least a little bit of standards, right?
Well, they have this one moment where he like touches her stomach and he's like, I'm going to put a prince in you. She's pregnant. Yeah. We're going to find out she's pregnant.
Well, we already did. She's pregnant with... she has a baby on the way. That was in last season. That's why Tyrion says, in this episode, one of his lines is, when Sansa says, you're a fool for trusting Cersei, he says she has something to live for. And it's because she's pregnant. It's... I'm assuming it's Jaime's... But the prophecy is... that she's not going to have another child.
Yeah, I forgot. Like, I was going crazy. I'm like, why do I remember a scene where she said she's pregnant, and I'm like, I must have just made that up. Well, she's probably pregnant now.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot. Yeah, I think it is.
So that's why, like, when he says that, everyone's like, well, she already is. And while he's busy doing that with Cersei, we have
Theon's redemption.
He smuggles himself into the Iron Fleet, releases her, saves
saves his sister.
saves his sister, and then basically just says, "Hey, I'm gonna go back and help Starks because he still feels like he's a Stark." I feel like.
I think he's like, I kind of fucked these guys over a lot.
Yeah.
I think I need to kind of be with them. And like, I think
his redemption arc has been nice. Like, no one's gone through as much of a horror show, I feel like, as Theon.
Theon might have had it at one of the worst.
Less of a man now, if you catch the drift. But
Yeah.
his redemption arc has been nice. And that I think the last scene we had in King's Landing was Bronn getting the crossbow and the orders to go kill Jaime and Tyrion.
Which Tyrion did say, like, in season 1, if anyone tries to have you come against me, I'll pay you double. And I think that's going to come into play. I think he's literally going to show up and be like, she's paying me this. You want to pay me double? And he's going to... Yeah. There's no way those are his two friends. His two homies.
The people he's closest to. Like, he wants lands and he wants to be a lord, but is he really going to go through with it?
Yeah.
And then it cuts back, I think, to Winterfell, and we have another reunion, a
lot of reunions this episode.
The reunion episode, and we get Arya runs into the Hound.
Yeah, when I saw these people see each other, I'm like, oh my god, like, they haven't seen each other. Like, Arya and the Hound, she thought the Hound was dead.
Yeah, and he even was like, you left me to die, and then he goes, oh, I robbed you first.
Yeah, that was a good line. And then she also bumped into Gendry at the same time, which I'm like, oh, man, like, everyone's here.
Everyone's in Winterfell. And they resume their little, I don't even know if you want to call it a love story.
Yeah, they were hitting it off, but they were children when the last time they saw each other. So
I think Gendry, even last time they saw it, had a line something like, oh, you'd be my lady or something like that. And like, Gendry was really going after it there.
Another thing I read online was, because I feel like they're making a lot of parallels to previous episodes, and like things that characters said are now kind of paying off in a different way. Robert Baratheon said to Ned, I have a son, you have a daughter, let's merge our houses. And I feel like that's...
I did not think of that one.
We were talking about two different children, but I think now
it's going to happen.
I think all these like one-liners that kind of happened earlier in the show are coming back, and it's like, oh, it came true, but in a different way.
It's not how you think. And Arya gave Gendry a little plan for...
Yeah, what was that?
It looked like it might have been like a detachable spear. I don't know if it shoots. I don't know if it like turns into two, but she definitely has some dragon glass weapon specialty that she's going to have made, and I'm going to assume it's going to come into play.
And then the last reunion was Tyrion and Sansa, and I was like, oh yeah, they're married.
Yeah, everyone kind of forget about that.
Because that was like season 4.
Yeah.
No, 3 that they got married.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Joffrey's...
It's been like 5 real years that I've like remembered that. But I'm like...
Yeah, they were married for like 2 nights, I feel like.
Something like that. Yeah. But I was just like, oh, they haven't seen each other. Like, oh yeah, that was just a nice little scene. I'm glad we got these. Like I said, it's the calm before the storm. We were kind of just... Everything's happy, and I feel like shit's going to hit the fan coming up.
Yeah. And we get a little bit of a date night too. I think we get Jon, big moment. Jon flies a dragon.
Jon does fly a dragon,
which we've been waiting for. Not just any dragon; it's the dragon named after who we now know is his real father.
Oh, I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
but yeah, Jon flies a dragon. They have him and Daenerys have a nice moment. Jon has something about waterfalls and caves. Because
I was gonna say that's his go-to.
Girls are always trying to fuck him in a cave next to a waterfall and want to stay in the cave.
Yeah, they never want to leave.
They all go like, let's just forget about all these other problems. Let's just stay in this cave. Like, I don't know what's going on.
The one creepy thing about that scene though was like the dragons like egging them on, like we're into this. We like to watch.
Yeah, but they're having a romance build. We actually have all the advisors kind of arranging a marriage between those two, which...
Yes, Varys, Tyrion, and...
Davos.
Davos, the Onion Knight. all kind of come together and they say, like, the proposal of a proposal. Why don't we get the two? I forgot the exact words, but they're like the two most honorable people
Yeah.
to just join and become
He
king
said
and queen.
like we've never had an honorable like
Yeah.
leader within like basically it would be like, hey, well, there's no bad coming from this as of right now.
And it kind of falls apart when we get a Samwell comes back. He first gets to meet Daenerys because Captain Friendship gets to introduce them. And it doesn't go so well because we get the first little hint that there might be trouble with
Yeah,
her ways of ruling.
Sam finds out Daenerys killed his father and his brother.
Yes.
And
that was great acting
yeah.
done because, like, Sam, his relationship with his father, remember, his father sends he's the oldest son. He is the heir to the entire everything,
their castle,
their land, the castle. And he basically says when he was of age, go take the black. You're not my son. And we always find out like how big of a piece of shit he is towards Sam. And then when they finally meet and he steals the sword, runs away, like that was like you're like, okay, like, yeah, Sam, you don't care about your family.
Yeah.
And then
But
when
he cares.
Yeah.
Which
And
I feel like maybe he cared too much. Like you forgot his dad made him take the black and said, if you don't, I'm going to kill you, and just say it was a hunting accident and no one's going to know. No one would ever find out the truth.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, it's emotional, but I think he's also kind of realizing like Daenerys might be have a little mad queen in her.
Yeah. And it's the first time she gets to see the consequences of her actions because she's face to face with him. And he even like apologizes because I don't think he started to break down until he found out like his brother. He had no beef with his brother. His brother was just fine with him.
Yeah.
And then that's like someone he loves. He finds out
I think that's when he started really breaking down.
Didn't bend the knee. And then he runs out and he runs in a kind of a fit and runs straight into Creepy Bran, who was just chilling in some square somewhere.
Just waiting for an old friend.
Yeah, just waiting for an old friend. And he tells Sam, listen, it's time to tell Jon about his family. But he goes, yeah, I'm not really his brother. He's like, I'm not his brother. I think he says, like, yeah, you're right. But he says, you guys are closer. Why don't you do it? And Sam goes down to the family crypts where he's not really allowed.
Yeah.
I think it's only supposed to be, the family is only supposed to be down there. And runs into Jon. And he reveals to him that, hey, you're not who you think you are. You're Aegon Targaryen, first of his name, keeper of the realms,
I think
blah, blah,
so.
blah, blah.
But he didn't just say, hey, you're a Targaryen. He said, you're the rightful king.
You're the rightful king. And when he revealed who his father was, there was one little thing that I thought was really neat. And they framed the shot so that over Jon's shoulder was Ned's statue.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember the last conversation Ned had in season 1 when he saw Jon for the last time was, next time we see each other, I'll tell you who your family or who your mother was.
Yeah.
Or the truth about your
mother.
And we kind of, we get that kind of fulfilled there. And Jon's kind of in disbelief, and there's one key line that Sam asks. And he says, you gave up your crown for your people. Will she do the same? Because you're the rightful heir.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to kind of lead into some...
Yeah, because I feel like Jon
problems.
is just, hey, I'm trying to save the world. There's bigger things about than who's king. But I feel like that point was... Daenerys, at the end of the day, she's in it to be...
Yeah.
She's in it to win it. She doesn't care. Like, the White Walkers are just an obstacle in the way of getting what she wants. And Jon's like, the White Walkers are the end game. Like, it doesn't matter what happens after that. We need to get past this zombie apocalypse that's coming this way. And Daenerys is like, well, I guess I got to go deal with this. And then I'll go take the throne.
Yeah, she's only doing it because she wants something to rule afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
and I feel like that's going to be a key thing this season of she might be in it. she's not this great. I'm trying to think of the word, like, selfless leader that she's been like kind of perceived as like the whole series. I feel like she's in it for herself. She's always been kind of in it for herself.
Yes, and everyone around her always keeps telling her, "Oh, you're the best option for Westeros. You're the rightful heir. You are the best option. You're so much better than all these other people who are all in it for themselves." And I think it's kind of gone to her head a little bit, and now she's burning people. And
yeah, I've always said I'm a big fan of the Mad Queen theory, that we've been watching this girl for 8 seasons. We've been like hyping her up. We're like, everyone wants her to win. Everyone's like, she's like the best character, everyone's favorite. And I want her to get that throne, and she is just as bad as her father, just as bad as every other Targaryen. And it's like, oh, we've been rooting for the villain. And I feel like that's going to happen. Like, when, like, with the Tarly thing, she burned those people. She didn't have to.
No.
You know, she was trying to show a sign of, like, power, but, like, when Sam's brother said, I want to go with my father, I stand with my father, she didn't need to burn him.
Yeah.
She just did it because I got a dragon, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. And then I think that it kind of goes to we find out the old friend that Bran was, the last reunion, Bran's old friend he was waiting for, which he was waiting in that courtyard overnight. Apparently they didn't install handicap ramps in Winterfell because he's just been there all night. And it's Jaime Lannister comes in at the end, and he gets to meet creepy Bran for the first time.
He needed someone to push him, and we know Jaime's good at pushing Bran.
You've been waiting.
I've been holding that.
You've been holding on to that since the episode ended.
But yeah, they lock eyes. They haven't seen each other since Jaime tried to murder him because he saw them having sex with his sister.
Yeah. And but yeah, I think that's where it ended. I think overall I like this episode. Like I said, it was filled with a lot of like happy, feel good. Oh man, they haven't seen each other in so long. We've been waiting for so long, like for everyone to run into and see each other. And then they wasted no time in telling Jon his a couple seasons ago, they might have waited until episode 6 or 7 to
I thought they were going to hold out on that until, like, the finale.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they got it out of the way. And, like, the first episode of every season's always the slowest. It's kind of like, here's where everyone's at. Let's see what's going to be, like, set the stage for the rest of the season. The only difference is everyone was in the same spot. Normally, we see where everyone's at around the world. Now we just saw where everyone's at in one spot.
I think while in the grand scheme of things, not too much happened. There was enough there that you're like, I'm happy with this episode.
I feel like they had to. Like, if you have all these characters in the same spot for the first time and people who haven't seen each other, you have to have the scenes of them all having their meet and greet. Because if we just jumped into, like, a White Walker invasion, it would have been nonsense. Like, you would have been like, well, I want to see Arya meet the Hound again. I want to see, like... And there were still some that we didn't see. I wanted to see a Brienne Hound.
Yeah.
Reunion. I wanted to see...
Well, they saw each other a little bit at the meeting.
Real quick, but I feel like they haven't... Now we're on the same side.
Yeah, they're like the parents, the happy parents of Arya, basically. But then, so we had all this feel good, and you bring all these characters into one spot because obviously something big's going to happen.
People are going to die.
And they tease that for next week's episode, the teaser... looks like it's going to be the Battle of Winterfell.
Yeah, I think we might get a little bit of it, but I don't think it's going to be the full Battle of Winterfell. I think...
Yeah, the episode's only, I think, 58 minutes or so.
Yeah, this is the last hour episode, and then every episode after that, when we looked it up, was an hour and a half.
Yeah, so I feel like more content.
We're going to get... I feel like I don't know what else you could do because you have all the characters in one spot. But I feel like we're going to see them setting up for the battle. I feel like the battle's going to start, and then the next episode is going to be battle heavy. Because I'm like, we just saw them hanging out. They're preparing. Like, what else could we do next episode?
Yeah, because we had Lord Umber and all his people dead. So we know the Night King got at least that far. Tormund and the remaining crows are on their way back to Winterfell. We see in the teaser trailer, we see Tormund back in Winterfell, and he just says we have until right before tomorrow's morning, I think. And that's where it ends.
I think we'll get, if I had to speculate, we're going to see Jaime's arrival, which they teased in the little promo.
Looks like they put him on trial for obviously trying to kill Bran.
Yeah. So we're going to see a lot with Jaime, people not liking him. But at this point, it's like there's a lot of enemies hanging out. We're all friends now, so I don't see why that would be an issue.
And Jaime knows that Cersei's not planning to help, so he's probably going to be the one to break it to them like, hey, you guys are fools for trusting her. She's not going to send help.
I'm going to make a long shot prediction when they're doing this little trial, because once again, they're getting involved in all politics. They're all worried about who's going to be king and alliances. And it's like, no, if we don't all team up, we're dead. That's where we're at in the show.
Yeah.
If we don't work together, we're dead. So I think they're going to be arguing about Jaime and having this big trial. And I have a feeling you're going to hear a dragon, and it's the ice dragon showing up. And I think it's going to be like, yeah, you guys have been distracted with this nonsense. Hey, how about we focus on the real thing?
Threat. So I think that about concludes our first episode of Squad Goes to Westeros. We'll be releasing episodes every Monday through the season finale. See you next week.
See you. Hey, thanks for watching our episode of the Squad Goals podcast. If you want to watch this episode, go to youtube.com/Cigar City Entertainment. And if you want to hear us, go to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and look up Squad Goals Podcast. If you just want to stay in the loop with all things Cigar City Entertainment, go to facebook.com/Cigar City Entertainment and Instagram at CCE_Tampa. We're out.